Pull on the butt from sitting too long. Bedhead. Here are my shorts. I'll mess around. The whole tech group.
Jenny.
Play me a song.
So, I got one phone for my stuff, my audiobooks, and then another phone for calls. Probably got like a million freaking, I got a million messages. I don't even keep up with it anymore. I'm just secretary. And one day I'll give you a house tour.
You disappear now when I'm dreaming of your face.
Been listening to a lot of Journey lately. So romantic. So there's a lot of content out there, a lot of ideas, a lot of different tools. And as I'm sure you know, human beings are creatures of habit. We're extremely attached to our comfort zone, extremely attached to our identity and who we are. You think you want to change? Bullshit. And I see it all the time with my Skype coaching on the weekends. And I see it in pretty much everyone I talk to when I give certain advice. They want the advice, but they want the advice to be reinforced or reinforce their current identity so they can feel better about who they currently are. And it doesn't matter how much content is out there, they're going to filter what they look at through this in a way to remain in their comfort zone. There's a term in the spiritual community called spiritual bypassing. And if you've never heard of it, you must be enlightened, my children. Spiritual bypassing is when you use different spiritual teachings as a way to stay in a state of inauthenticity, as a way to, let's say, like avoid dealing with unpleasant emotions or dealing with some of the stuff that you've repressed, like traumatic situations that have been pushed down. And one common one is positive thinking. Think positive thoughts. However, by doing so, it can block you from actually understanding really what's deep down. And a lot of people are running away from this pain body. And it can motivate them. But the problem is they'll never be happy along the way. And when they finally get their dream or goal, they'll feel empty. So instead of actually turning toward this and releasing it, the repressed feelings, they try to escape it. They try to ignore it. Do everything they can to not face it. And the more they do so, the more dread there is to confronting it. So we hear, be positive, the law of attraction. If you focus on positive things, you'll attract positive things. And then it reinforces, hey, don't bring your awareness to this pain body or this darkness. And this is big. People grow through pain. And whether you focus on positive things or not, if unconsciously, in your subconscious, you still have this stuff going on, if you believe in the law of attraction, you'll still manifest more of this. You kid yourself as much as you want and think positive, but deep down inside, you have to release it. You'll see people who are like overly positive. There's just something a little off, especially in the self-help world. You know, you ever see that? It's like just a little fake. Like there's like tension. There's something going on. It's like just a little too positive, a little too inspired, a little too hyper. You're like, that's not really real. There's something a little off there. It's like overblown. And of course, some people come off that way on camera, but if you bring this up to them, it's like massive defensive. like they're still trying to be positive, but you can sense it, it stings. And that's just one example. It's like needs to be refurbished. I'm gonna pull in because there's like junk cars all over the yard. This is an awesome refurb. So yes, if you focus on, let's say, positive things, you'll attract more positive things to your life. But to do so, you must bring your awareness to this and just release this. And it's not pleasant. You have to have a lot of courage. But the most courageous people are the ones who are happy. So if you feel like you're not enough, ask yourself, why do I feel this? Why do I believe I'm not enough? What have I been running from? Some people will go to their grave without ever knowing and wonder why, or just they weren't at 100%. They weren't at like 10 out of 10. There's just always something off, something missing. They haven't really, they'll go listen to something and get inspired and motivated, but they're not really getting to the source. And with self-help and spirituality, another one is like, they say they're not ready yet. They use it as an excuse to not take action. You ever see that? They haven't read enough books yet, or they're not informed enough. They're not present enough. They're not enlightened enough. It's an excuse to avoid taking action, or an excuse, and this one's big, to not make enough money or be successful. And you'll see that like in the spiritual world. Just go on YouTube and put spiritual teachers, and you'll see a series of videos, a bunch of videos of people, and not to disdain what they're doing, to each their own, but they'll be there in like a shitty little apartment with a shitty camera. And they're like, you know what? I just don't believe in money. That's materialistic. They're identified with not being materialistic. Let go of it to transcend. And you sense, oh yeah, some people may not resonate with that, but there's just a little bit of bitterness there. They're unhappy because they probably failed in that area, and they're using spirituality as an excuse to not take action. Anyone who says screw making money, or screw taking action, or fuck being successful, has been running away from their pain body, or this negativity.
It starts to get you in this mode of scarcity. So I've been able to grab a hold of it and create meaning out of it.
A million messages, I don't even keep up with it anymore. His secretary, always with me.
It's kind of like what I've been known for, notorious in the past.
Just keep you're still with me in my dreams. Miles just keep rolling as the people leave their way to say hello. Say this life, it's overrated. Oh no, as the people leave their way.
On a water here. This is not a podcast. I'm just, podcast has done really well for me because now I'm more authentic in my videos, right? Authenticity, be yourself. All right, I can do that. Of course, typical Brad fashion, I take it to the extreme, right? There's a biological reason why people get really weird about constructive criticism, or they get afraid. They actually get afraid. It threatens their sense, basically their entire sense of security, their entire sense of knowing. Further into that. And I don't want to forget something here. Anyway, now we really have to understand this. We really have to follow this, because if you really want to understand human behavior, human beings respond to a sense of a certainty, and the leader in the group, or just people with like real high status, they have this sense of certainty about the way they're communicating. Just part of survival in a tribe, and that's how we evolved. So it's literally in our DNA. So if somebody begins to like pick at another person's sense of certainty, and it causes them to just like be uncertain about everything, it actually can get them lower on the hierarchy in the tribe. So it threatens their sense of survival and mess their privileges up. So we're biologically wired to preserve our sense of certainty, because if we lose it too much, we lose status, and we can get kicked out of the tribe, and as a result, we can die. And people will defend it to the end of the earth, their sense of certainty. And because if so, then they begin to question whether they could be wrong about everything or not. And the way to get around that is a lot of people actually form their sense of reality from like a web, like a big cloud that's all associated together, one big certain little wiener loop, if you will. And the way to actually do that so it's more effective is to have like different ideas that don't affect each other. So you want to make it so that like there's something over here and you could be wrong about this, and you could think maybe about this, but it doesn't lower your sense of certainty about other things like this. And the people who are most sure of themselves, they put it in, they compartmentalize in such a way so that it doesn't affect them whatsoever. So they have like, they have one belief here and one belief here. You could take this down, it just doesn't mess anything up. We've got to get to that point. Now, there's a way to also get like a sense of constructive criticism across. I can't talk when I just wake up. Most people's ego is identified in their opinions. And because their sense of self is identified in their opinions, if you threaten one of their opinions, you're threatening them. Their sense of self, like I said, their sense of survival. I'll say it a few times here so that you can really take it in. They'll shut down any feedback that you can give. So whenever you give somebody constructive criticism, there's a better way to do this where you can actually get the feedback across to them. And it's very simple. First, you give them something positive. It's a helpful frame. And then you give them the negative. Then you give them a positive. So like, let's say you want to give some constructive criticism to somebody, a friend, a coworker, a family member. You say, look, you did really well over here. However, if you wanted to improve it, you can do this, this, and this. And by the way, you did really well over here as well. And that will stick. And I'm telling you, if you use this, it works almost every time. I mean, I've used it before, and then I just like learned it again over my learning binge over the past 3-4 days, like word for word, so I can deliver it for you guys. And it really works. People love you. If you only focus on motivation, you can become bitter and unhappy as well. So it goes both ways. We need a mix. We need a mix of spirituality and a mix of motivation. That's the balance. That's the yin and yang. Some people are like, it's all about the spiritual side. Fuck taking action. That's wrong. And vice versa. It's a combination here. If you just focus on taking action and money, what does your life look like? Pretty much exactly the same as it is now, except a little more luxurious.